Hi, and welcome to the To Be Read podcast, where we give honest reviews on viral books that you might see on social media and popular book review websites. This is Krys.
And Karacin, and on this episode, we're going to be discussing The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. So cozy on in, and let's see if you should add this book to your To Be Read shelf. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Like the intro said, we're talking about The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This was a romance book, and I'm looking at the Goodreads website right now, and it was Goodreads Choice Award. It was nominated for Best Romance of 2021, and it was the winner for Best Debut Novel in 2021. So, stay along and see if we thought this was worth those awards and nominations. First, I'm going to read the synopsis of the book. So here we go. Catalina Martin desperately needs a date to her sister's wedding, especially since her little white lie about an American boyfriend has spiraled out of control. Now, everyone she knows, including her ex and his fiancé, will be there and eager to meet him. She only has 4 weeks to find someone willing to cross the Atlantic and aid in her deception. New York to Spain is no short flight, and her ruckus family won't be easy to fool. Enter Erin Blackford, her tall, handsome, condescending colleague, who surprisingly offers to step in. She'd rather refuse. Never has there been a more aggravating, blood-boiling, and insufferable man. But Catalina is desperate, and as the wedding draws near, Erin looks like her best option, and she begins to realize he might not be as terrible in the real world as he is at the office. First, the overall rating on Goodreads with 682,790 ratings, which that's, I think, the biggest ratings we've had so far, is 3.84. So very close to 4 stars. So Krys, what would you rate this?
I would probably rate this like a 3.75.
Okay. I think I put it at a 4 when I put it on my Goodreads.
I enjoyed the story, but the reason for my rating and why it got kicked down like a quarter of a star is because the story, in my opinion, was pretty predictable. Like, I knew what was going to happen for the most part, like the big parts of the book from like the very first few chapters.
Yeah. Yeah. I quickly caught on that he liked her, but he didn't know how to express it. And I'm pretty sure I put in our like notes, like in chapter 4, I was like, I think he likes her. So that, I feel like maybe it's because I've read a lot of romances, so I know when.
I don't know. It was pretty dang predictable. Like, it was still a really cute story, and like I enjoyed that there was some like humorous quips and stuff like that, but like for the most part, I feel like the overarching story was fairly predictable.
Yeah, I can agree with that it was a very predictable book. I took off from a 5 to a 4, um, because for me, 5-star ratings are books that I will read over and over and over again, even if I know what's going to happen. I will.
Yeah, 5 stars for me is like I am going to be thinking about this book for like years.
I think I liked this so much because, one, the other 2 books that we have read were duds for me, and 2, which we'll get into this in a minute, our predictions for this book were basically spot on.
I know, I was so proud of us.
I was excited reading the book because I was like, oh, yay, I was right. But before we get into the book cover predictions that we had, let's do our spice rating because this was a romance. So, what was your spice rating?
Um, two little chili peppers.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree. This was the slowest of slow burns I have ever
Yes.
read. I
Yes.
they didn't have like any type of spice until like chapter 22,
Yeah,
which
and
was
there's
78.
27 chapters, by the way.
Yeah, it was 78% through the book. I looked it up. I wrote it down as like the first time they like kissed or whatever. I was
Yeah.
like, this is the first time they've done something. And I was like, I'm 78% done with this book. Usually, and like romance books that have, the typical third act breakup, that happens around the 80% mark. So I was like, that's so surprising that it took that long for a slow burn. But it got like the reader, as a reader, it got me like to want to keep reading the book because I was like, all right, when's stuff gonna happen? Like, when are they gonna show that physical side? Not that it has to be intimacy, but like even an actual kiss, not like a fake one.
Yeah, I completely understand that. And like I remember kind of like shuffling forward at a certain point because I'm just like, God, like when are like things gonna like happen here? And I wasn't necessarily looking for spicy, but I was like looking for like when there was finally like a relief on that tension.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree with you there. Okay, let's go into what our book cover predictions were. I remember some of them. We definitely looked at the little airplane and the champagne glass and the trophy and the luggage. That was like what we mainly looked at when we were making our predictions. And you guessed it was a wedding.
Yes, yes. And that way we were traveling.
Yes, because the airplane and the luggage. And we had no clue what the trophy was about, which it turns out um, it was for the wedding games that they did for her sister's bachelorette and then the bachelor festivities that they were doing. Um, like the parties competed against each other, and the winners got a trophy, and the losers had to do like a dance that night at the bar or whatever. Um, which that was interesting.
Yeah.
um, but I do remember I said it was an enemies to lovers, and I was right on that. So that was, we were so spot on. I was like, yes. Because the other two books that we tried guessing the covers on, well, we did do a guess on Twisted Love, but we did a guess on the Hurricane Wars, and we were way off on that one.
Oh God,
So,
yeah. I was pretty like I was pretty happy with like how we looked at the cover and like deducted what was going to happen. Obviously, we were like, "Oh, she meets this guy on the airplane." But I kind of actually prefer the way that they did it where that he was a work colleague.
yeah.
And I think that it added to the tension that he was actually announced to be getting promoted before they left.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you have that in the back of your mind. And I actually really enjoyed the way that the author, um, the like, presented like the reason why her and her ex broke up, and the reason why she was really nervous about like getting into anything when she realized that she did have feelings for Aaron and things like that, and how like Gerald stirred up some of the same type of issues. I immediately hated Gerald. I think that I literally
Same.
put in our notes and I was just like, who the F is this guy?
I wanted to, like, if there's a character you want to, like, jump through the book and smack, it would have been him. Like, him, and honestly, sometimes her family, I wanted to just, like, smack as well. Because I don't know. Maybe because I don't know. But her family really irritated me. And I don't know if that's like a cultural thing in Spain to like what's the word I'm thinking of? They kind of like ganged up on her. And their excuse was because, oh, we love her and she never like pity her because what happened with her and her ex and blah blah blah. But I that was my biggest thing, was how she didn't stick up for herself, like towards her family. And
Yeah.
again, I don't know if that's like a cultural thing in Spain to like not do that. Um, but I just that frustrated me a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. I think for me, the biggest issue was like how, not that she didn't stand up for herself, but like, I think that the reason why her family felt like they had to like be like that with her and just like coddle her is because she's kind of oblivious. Like, I'm sorry, but I think I wrote down in like chapter 4 that I was like, Alex like asked her out for real, and she's just like not Alex, Erin. Erin asked her out for real, and she's just like completely oblivious to the whole dang thing.
I
Was that
know.
chapter 4? I might be
Yeah,
like,
it was. No, you were right.
no, chapter
I
5.
remember.
I said Erin asked her out for real, and she's literally not understanding it. She still thinks it's fake and made up. Shake my head.
Yeah, because even her friend, I don't remember her friend's name.
Rosie.
Yes, was like trying to get her to agree
Yeah,
to
like
this.
maybe Aaron's not so bad. Maybe
I
he is
know.
actually a good guy, and he is a good guy. Like he's a
I
little,
know.
he is, you're right. He is just like a little awkward, but like I
Yeah.
kind of love that, and the fact that like he was very reserved until he's just like, I don't know how much more patient I can be.
Yeah. Yeah. He was very patient with her. Two
Um,
years?
yeah,
2 years patient with her.
yeah. I did love how like relatable her like stammering and like just like talking through like her stress and anxiety was. I because I definitely do that. So like when I get like stressed or nervous or whatever, I tend to like just talk more, and I usually just dig myself a bigger hole.
Yes, I'm trying to find this part in my notes where I talk about her word vomit. She has a word vomit. But I don't remember. It was in chapter 8. I don't remember what exactly was going on. I think they were at his fundraiser thing that they were at. And they
Oh
were
yes.
explaining how they came there together, and she was word vomiting about something. And she goes, "So, yeah, long story short, we came here together." And it was just on this big word vomit right before
Yeah.
she said all that.
Every time she started doing shit like that, it was just like, oh, here we go again. Like, but I like lived for it because it was just so freaking funny.
Um, I thought one thing I liked was honestly the Bachelor and Bachelorette game that they did. Um, that whole soccer scene was so cute, and I thought you would have liked that because it
I
brought in
did
soccer, and
enjoy
you
it.
love soccer.
It
And
also
I was
like
like,
stirred up like the like competitiveness in me too, because I was just like, ugh,
yeah. And when she was falling, and he just picked her up and like went down the rest of the field and made the game-winning goal. I was just like, and he's like, he basically told her he didn't want her falling, but didn't want to lose. It was so cute.
yes, I really like the like funny banter that they have, but like I keep wanting to call him Alex. They're always A names. Have you noticed that? Um, but like
That is
Aaron,
so true. Our last book, The Hurricane Wars,
yeah,
had an A name.
yeah. It was Alex, and then it was
Alaric.
Alaric, and now it's Aaron.
We didn't do that on purpose.
I think we should start keeping track of how many A names there are. Anyway, so uh, like when they were in the hotel room and she was like saying that the groom is gonna he's really competitive and he's gonna appreciate that he has a Greek god like for a teammate, and how
Uh
she
huh.
just like, oh my god, I just said that out loud, and he just kind of like didn't like make her feel bad about it, but then like she asked him a question and he's like, I don't know, what would a Greek god do? Like, I really just like that little, like, quick little humor that he has there. Like, he doesn't like, oh, really, like the cheesy, like, can you say that again? No, he just like used it and just like sticks it in there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I did hear that.
He didn't make her feel uncomfortable because
Yeah,
he knew.
yeah. And it was kind of nice how like his entire like mood changed towards her. Because I understand that he kind of was just like he put on this facade for his business, and
Mhm.
that's kind of like the person that she saw him as. And I like that he really used the opportunity in Spain to show her his true colors.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of nice. And I mean, I anticipated it obviously, but like it was kind of, it was really like a cozy little read, like a happy little read as you were like seeing it all unfold.
Yeah. Can we talk a minute about her ex? That first of all, it was very when I first started reading about him and the fact that her ex is her sister's fiance's brother. So they're gonna her and her ex are gonna be in-laws now because they set up their siblings. Um, when I was reading it, I don't know if you thought this, but do you think he was deceiving them that he's engaged? Because the fiance never showed up.
I kind of do, honestly. Like, I thought that when he was just like, oh, she's not coming. And I was like, so what? He like made up the whole thing because he wanted to feel like he won the breakup?
Well, especially after he cornered her outside the bathroom at the rehearsal dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I really feel like the fiance is not an actual thing. Because, unless, did she end up coming to the actual wedding?
I don't remember. I was
I
not
don't either.
invested in that part of the book.
That was just like, yeah. I just didn't like the guy. And I felt bad for her
Well, and
with
like the
what
way that he
happened
handled the whole
afterwards.
situation, like he's not going to get in trouble for dating a former um, student,
Student.
and then he still just didn't like the vibe it gave. And so like he was just like, I'm sorry, we have to break up. And I'm just like, that's shady and like dodgy in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you knew dating a former student might come with these type of repercussions. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you're not prepared for them, then you shouldn't have even entered into the relationship, in my opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
so like I instantly just kind of like hated him after, especially after hearing the why.
Yeah.
But like I also like I didn't get nervous about Aaron doing the same thing when like Gerald started stirring things up.
Yeah. He actually stood up for her and, like, basically got him fired. Because he's the one who put in the complaint along with some of the other coworkers after what happened in the cafeteria that day.
Yeah.
And it turned out that he
Yeah.
was a crap person himself.
To be fair, I would have filed a complaint to begin, like before they even left for their trip, because he was being extremely sexist.
In that meeting that they had
Yeah.
about their
Well,
party that she
yeah,
had to
you're a
plan.
woman, so you can plan a party, right?
I my eyes rolled so far back into my head when I was reading that because I was like,
Yeah.
this is that's like, okay, I don't work. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But like that is, I know, Chris, you work and I don't know if you deal with it at your current job, but I know in the past you've dealt with stuff like that at previous jobs where like men are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're the woman. You should know how to do this." Like
Yeah.
I don't understand why that is still happening today.
Yeah, hello, it's 2024. And also, like, I'm sorry, but like, I don't stand for that. And so, like, it kind of angered me the fact that she just kind of let them talk to her like that. Whereas I would have been marching into what was her supervisor's name, Jeff or something? Jack. I don't
I
remember.
think it was Jeff, but he wasn't there.
I don't care. I still would have been like, as soon as he was in, I would have been marching into his office and being like, I'm sorry, but this is an HR issue, and I called them here for me to confront you because this is not okay.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
100% would have just confronted the entire issue right then and there. And so
Yeah.
I kind of like, that's how I kind of like determined that maybe that's why her family coddled her, though, because she doesn't stand up for herself.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do you think Aaron didn't say anything in that meeting? Because he just sat there. No one stood up for her in that meeting.
I mean, Aaron said that like he worked really hard to make himself look like the kind of God, what was his words? Uh he came off to be like somebody who was just kind of like, I don't care, just do your job,
Yeah.
so that he didn't have to like make a bunch of friends at work or whatever. And so I think that that was part of that facade that he was giving so that people didn't step all over him,
Yeah.
or at least attempt to. He was kind of not approachable, and so if he stood up for her, then that would mean that maybe she would get more backlash because Alex was on her. I mean, oh, Jesus, Aaron was on her side.
Yeah. I just felt bad because no one said it. Even her friend, what was his name? Was it Hector? I remember it started with an H, the older guy,
Yeah, Hector. I was
who
kind of
treated her like a
disappointed.
daughter.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that he didn't like stand up for her either. That whole scenario just like, she was just so like derailed, and so she didn't stand up for herself, but then nobody else had anything to say at that point either. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wonder if Rosie was in that meeting, what Rosie would have done.
Yeah, she was my favorite side character.
Same. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, and she wasn't even really in that much of the book because I would say the majority of the book took place in Spain where the wedding was happening.
Yeah, I
Which
agree.
makes sense because the whole reason for the book was for the wedding and
Yeah.
why she needed a fake boyfriend to begin with. But
Yeah. I also like how they included the title of the book, and how she like, it was like, I just said a like a lot and I apologize. I enjoy how she didn't call it the Spanish love deception until they were in Spain,
mm-hmm.
and it just kind of came to her as what they were going to call this fake relationship.
Yeah, I like. I think that brings a good point. I like when authors put in the title of the book somewhere in the actual book, but sometimes the way they do it is so cheesy. But I feel like she did this in a good way.
Yeah, I completely agree.
If you are able to put the title of your book into somewhere to fit into the plot and the storyline, I'm all for it because then that helps me understand why you named the book that way.
Yes.
Because sometimes books have interesting titles, and
Yeah.
you're just like, how did you come up with that?
Like the Hurricane Wars.
Well, I mean, they were called the Hurricane Wars. We just didn't understand why.
Why?
Anyways, what's something you didn't like about the book?
So like I said before, I didn't like the predictability.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that was the biggest thing for me, was the predictability. And like, I also feel like it was so, at points, unbelievable how she didn't understand that Aaron was coming on to her. And I also felt that at certain points in time, there's parts of the books that I read the words, but I don't know if I actually comprehended them, because it just felt like the plot at that point was just kind of non-important.
Yeah.
And so at those points there were kind of some slow valley points in the book, but
Mm-hmm.
there weren't very many, and so I can't complain too much. And I did end up liking how the book ended. So, but if I had to say what my dislikes were, it was the predictability, her naivety, and the fact that there were some of those like valley points. I was just like, all right, like when's the next thing? Flipping through the
Yeah.
pages.
Yeah. I think mine was just she never learned how to stick up for herself. And I hope, I don't think the author's gonna ever do like a sequel to this book. But if this was real life scenario, I would hope she would learn, maybe through Erin, how to stick up for herself. Because I feel like she would have such more confidence in herself if she was able to like do that, because she fears, because she's a woman and she's um, Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
that people wouldn't take her seriously because of her ethnicity and by the fact that she's a woman.
Yeah.
So that hinders her thinking, that hinders her from sticking up for herself. So I would hope that she would learn how to stick up for herself. Tell them what happened with your book, your physical copy.
Yeah, so I ended up buying the book, and there was probably like, I would say like 6 or 7 pages throughout the entirety of the book, but it was, I guess, cut and bound incorrectly. So like some of the sentences were actually cut off, and I ended up I luckily have Kindle Unlimited, so I ended up just reading it on Kindle because I was tired of like trying to look up what I was missing and getting into the book. And then I don't know if you're like that, Kara, but when I get into a book and I'm like reading, if I have to stop to like look something up or whatever, it just kind of like interrupts my flow, and then I just
Mm-hmm.
either stop reading or get too distracted to remember what it was that I was reading. And so I ended up just reading it on Kindle Unlimited. But yeah, I have the physical copy, and it will be my little trophy shelf, I guess. My shelf trophy shelf. And words are hard today. But yeah, like they're so from here on out, anytime I buy a book, I will be flipping through the pages to make sure I didn't get a miscopy.
Yeah. There's a book that was just released last week, and um, the first editions, the spines all have like a special thing on them.
Uh huh.
And this guy was talking about it on his TikTok, and the first 40 pages of the book are just missing. Like they're not there. The book starts on page 41.
Oh my god.
I know. I would have been so pissed because
Yeah.
I bought that book. It was a book I was highly anticipating, which it got me out of my reading slump. So I'm so excited that it got me out of my reading slump.
Is it the one I'm thinking about? Or no?
I don't know what you're thinking about.
Is it the one from your favorite author?
One of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I can just say it. I'm not going to gatekeep it. It's Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Yeah. It got me out of my book slump.
Dang.
And I was glad this book also didn't put me in one. So.
Yeah, same.
All right. So overall, we like this book. Would you add this to your TBR shelf?
Yeah, I think so.
I would too, especially if you're looking for like a summertime read.
Yes.
This would be like a book to take to the beach or the lake or on. You used to do river floats. If you
Yeah.
do a river float.
And it would also be a really great like plane book. Like if you're
Yes.
traveling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
Definitely.
especially for a wedding.
Yeah. Or, you need to have a fake relationship. Here you go.
Don't
Fake
do that. That's
inspiration.
toxic.
All right, let's go into what our next book is going to be, where I'm super excited about this one. It's our first memoir, and it's Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. Very, very, very excited. Typically, what we do is look at the cover and guess what the book's going to be about. But since it's a memoir about Britney Spears, obviously, we know it's going to be about her. But we're going to talk about, instead of guessing, we're going to talk about what we hope is in the book. Krys, I know you said you don't know much about Britney Spears, but what you do know about her, what are you hoping is in the book?
Well, so for those of you who don't know us, we kind of lived a sheltered childhood. And so if we haven't grown up in our adult life to be more like pop culture aware, then we're just not going to know. And Britney Spears is not one of those people who I am pop culture aware about. So the most recent thing, which isn't very recent at all, that comes to my mind that I would like to know more about is like her, like, was it a mental breakdown or whatever where she shaved her head and like went through a bunch of different like
I know that
tabloids and stuff like that.
it led her to her conservatorship that she was in.
And so I'm interested to hear, like, maybe what led up to that. And I know that she struggled with some drug addiction. Am I incorrect on thinking that? And so how she kind of like,
I'm not positive.
how she, how she, how she like got through that, I guess. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see the Britney Spears that I grew up knowing and hear more about who she is now.
Yeah. I'm the opposite of you. I know more about her now than I did back then. One, um, I was way younger than the when Britney Spears was super popular and up and coming. I was super young. Um, Definitely not allowed to listen to her music. Oh my gosh. My, our parents would have been so upset if I knew anything about Britney Spears when she was popular.
Yeah.
um, I know about her more now. I don't like know too much. I know she got out of her conservatorship, and um, I know a big thing that happened with that was her fans and followers were really pushing for her to be able to get out of that. She had a lot of support from her fans, which I think is amazing. She has been able to get out of that and kind of get her life back. I know it took a lot of independence away from her when she was under that. So I'm interested to see if she talks about that. I grew up with the Jamie Lynn Spears era in Zoe 101, so I know they don't have a good relationship. The two of them don't anymore. So I'd be interested to see if she talks about any of that in her book.
Oh, yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, I know Jamie Lynn Spears came out with a memoir, and she kind of talked about Britney in it, and I don't think Britney liked what she had to say because it wasn't true according to Britney. So I'd be curious to know if any of that's in this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know she was on Barney, and that's kind of where she started. And I know she's famous for the denim suit. What was it called? Where she wore with Justin Timberlake, where she wore the all denim outfit.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna literally, as soon as we get off, I'm gonna remember what it's called. But it's some type of tuxedo. It's not called the denim tuxedo, but it's called some. It has to do with that, where you wear all denim. But I remember that her and Justin were popular. Like, from that, they got, big. Whatever it's called from it. And she was on Barney, and I know that's where she met Justin when they were little. It was off of Barney and Disney. They're both on Disney as well. So, and I loved Barney growing up. So, and I do, like, I watched Glee growing up, and I know they did a whole Britney episode where all the songs from the episode were from Britney, and that episode made me watch her music videos because, like Krys said, we were very sheltered, so didn't know anything about Britney Spears. Her walking with a snake around her was so crazy. I would never do that in my life. Nope. I would never, ever, ever, ever do that.
Snakes don't bother me.
Yeah, I know, you have a snake. You'd be like, yeah. But yeah, I'm curious about her younger life, which I feel like that's what she's going to talk about, because the cover of the book is a picture of her. Obviously, this is a younger version of Britney Spears. The cover of it.
Yeah.
So that makes me think it's going to be more about her younger years, like maybe during her conservatorship, where she didn't get to, like, speak out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'm very excited to read this book.
I am too. And this is my first time ever reading a memoir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've read an autobiography from a prisoner in Alcatraz. Is that what it is? That's the island. The prison island in California. Right? Alcatraz? Yeah, it is. I sometimes confuse Alcatraz with something else that I'm not going to mention because I'm going to sound really stupid. So.
Harry Potter?
No.
Oh, okay.
Krys, I've never read Harry Potter.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Because that's what I always get it confused with. It's fine.
One's fictional, one's real. Anyways, I read an autobiography from a prisoner who was in Alcatraz, but I've never read a memoir.
I've read so many, and I love them so much because I feel like you actually get to know the person more than just what, like, media and, yeah, the tabloids portray. So it's kind of interesting to hear from their account, and I also enjoy listening to memoirs via audiobook because a lot of the times the person who it's about is a person who is narrating.
Nice. I don't know if she did this one. You'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
I bought the physical copy of this one, so, which it was like $38. So, I don't know if that's typical, but that is not the typical amount I spend on a book. So I hope it's worth it. But
yep.
Anyways, thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
To like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media, and leave a comment down below of any books that you suggest for us or what you thought of The Spanish Love Deception, if you're able to read it with us. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the To Be Read podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. Make sure to join us next time as we talk about Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me.